And we are ready to get going. So I have Miss Jessica Mills here, Dr. Jessica Mills here with us as well. She's going to be sharing some of her incredible knowledge on CBD and hemp and the LivCana CBD Balm. But before she does, I want to give a proper introduction to our company and to what we're going to be, thoroughly speaking about tonight. So Life Activated Brands, I'm a part owner in the company. And Life Activated Brands is all about bringing incredible products, the best brands to you, and with the best ingredients possible. And this is something that we're in the infancy stages of. We're just approaching beta launch. We'll be launching fully in April of next year, and it's very exciting for us because this is something that we started this journey at the end of 2018, and it began as an e-commerce store. So just being able to purchase products online, and we saw incredible success with that. And it really led us down the path of saying, you know what, our background is in network marketing, and we wanted to bring, the incredible products to the area of network marketing as well. And one of the big reasons we wanted to do that is because CBD is a space that, one, doesn't really have a lot of knowledge to it. It's just kind of there's no regulation to it. People aren't quite sure what is going on there. And 1 second, let's keep all the videos off besides mine and Jessica's because we're recording this for future use. So it's something that is fun to see the path that we've been down. To be able to allow people to really enjoy, to allow people to really be able to get on board with the products that we have, and then sharing it from friend to friend. CBD is a space where people go to someone that they know, like, trust, to get their opinion on CBD. How does it work? What's the best way to take it? All of their questions they want to get from someone that they trust. And so we saw this as a great pathway for, people to get the products that we knew we could create, incredible products, to bring to the marketplace, but allow people to be able to get their hands on it, and be part of that profit as well. So I want to go ahead and dive right in to what we're going to be talking about. Of course, that's the LivCana CBD Balm. This is the fourth product in our LivCana line that we will be launching this fall. And I would love for you guys to hear from Dr. Jessica Mills really quick. She is someone who is absolutely incredible. She is a doctor of pharmacy and is a naturopath. Yes, naturopath as well. And she's done postdoctorate studies on hemp and CBD. So she's extremely knowledgeable in this. She's, advised a lot of businesses on using hemp, a lot of pharmacies on using hemp CBD in their stores. So Jessica, I'm going to let you kind of come on for a second and share a little bit of information.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay? Everything good? Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I've been running around like crazy trying to get it all done today. So I'm Jessica Mills, and I am a pharmacist. I've known Jesse and Brandon for a little bit, ever since they were in Bowling Green. And so what we're talking about tonight is the endocannabinoid system, a little bit about that process, how it works. The main thing that we're focusing on is the actual product of the balm. So what the benefits are, how to use it, all the good stuff, and then the actual science and the reasoning for how it can actually help. Are you good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
So I love it. So let's go ahead and dive into the endocannabinoid system. And here's what I'll tell everyone. If you want to get a big, long, deeper version of us discussing this system, go watch the Full Spectrum Hemp Oil. That's going to give you, it's a longer video, but on the front end, we discuss the system much more in depth, but we'll give you kind of an abbreviated version of that tonight, just so we can kick it off on the right foot. So just go ahead with that.
Awesome. So the endocannabinoid system is pretty new, discovered around 1990. And so what we found is that there is an entire system that all animals and mammals with skeletons basically and spines have. And so that system is the ECS, or the endocannabinoid system. And what it does is it's full of receptors and different enzymes and different endocannabinoids that our own bodies make. And the whole purpose of the system, from what we've discovered so far, seems to be to get our bodies back into homeostasis, or into that balance. So where all of the metabolic processes and all of the communication that our body does is able to function and is able to do what it's supposed to do, so that we can heal, so that we can feel good, so that we can do all the things that we typically need to, and our body doesn't have those chronic processes that are going on. And so there's a couple different receptors. We found CB1, which is mostly in the brain. And we also have CB2, which is spread throughout our entire system. So it's in the skin, which we'll talk about tonight. It's also in the liver, the kidneys, the thyroid, it's everywhere. And basically what those receptors do, your body makes your own endocannabinoids, which is 2-AG and AEA. And it does that whenever it senses that there is something that's a little off. Hey, I need to rebalance this. We've got some inflammation and some pain going on. Let's, make a chemical and let's help with that. So your body does that. There's some enzymes that break it down and help it get to the right receptors. So it's a really complex system, just like the cardiovascular system, the skeletal system. There's lots of moving parts and lots of interactions. But we haven't really been feeding the system, and there's not really any drugs that have ever really helped the system to do what it's supposed to do, which is to balance out our body. So now there's a lot of research into what happens when you do feed the endocannabinoid system, and even some as to like what chronic diseases and what things, like what diseases that we don't know what the exact cause, does the endocannabinoid system play a role in that. So there's a lot of research. It's a really exciting time. They just discovered it really not too long ago. So they're still looking at it, but CBD, with it being a cannabidiol, it acts and mimics like our own endocannabinoids that we produce. And so there's lots of research as to how it helps and why it helps. But in general, you're feeding a system that your body's always had, that you've probably never fed before, so that your body can help to balance itself out, to prevent and to also help with any symptoms of just not feeling as good as you possibly can.
Absolutely. And I love it all. And I think the best way of saying this, especially with the rest of the LivCana brand, is that, we really begin with our hemp oil, whether you use the full spectrum or the THC free, which of course those who, have the jobs that are worried there, the THC free is a great option for you. Those are two of the best products to go to first, to first feed your endocannabinoid system, correct?
Right. And so there's a couple different products that you guys have. And tonight we're talking about the balm.
Yes.
And whenever I first started to carry CBD products and hemp-based products, I had a lot of questions as far as, well, which product is the right one for me? Should I take the capsule, like Girls Energy capsule that has CBD in it? Should I take the oils? Should I use the balm? What's the best thing? I've got these symptoms. Tell me what to do. And so that's really where we started to research and to look, because we wanted to know the answer as well. So the oils are great for systemic issues. So it helps to decrease inflammation. This is scientifically what CBD does. We can't
necessarily LivCana.
Right. But there is a drug that has been FDA approved that is a CBD product. And so what we have shown from that is that it helps to decrease inflammation because it inhibits cytokines and chemokines, which is part of the chemicals that happen whenever your body releases it, whenever you have an issue or when you've got an injury or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it also helps to upregulate your T cells, which is your part of the immune system that determines what's you and what's not you. So if you've got something going on where you've got chronic inflammation, or your immune system is run down, or is just kind of drunk and doesn't know what it's doing anymore, then those are the things that we like to give systemic therapy, which is that CBD oil itself. Whereas if you've got something going on, like I've got some swelling of this finger joint, or I've got some knee pain, or I've got some elbow pain, what can I do? And they either don't want to take the oil, they just have it in one localized area, or if they've got skin conditions that are going on and they don't really have any pain or anything anywhere else, that's usually where the balm can come in and can really, really help with those conditions. Some people use both. Some people use both the oil to help with inflammation, and then for rainy days or for really bad days or for flare-ups, then they can use the balm for those areas. So there's lots of different types of products, but I love the 4 different products that you guys have, because there's lots of different ways that you can use the 4 of those in combination to be able to get the best results and to get the best balance and homeostasis back in the body.
Awesome. So one of my biggest things is when I started looking at topicals, My thought was, you have CB1 and CB2, CB1 being in, the brain, CB2 being throughout. But you even said it earlier, we have CB2. Is that what's called CB2? Yes.
Yes, CB2.
It wasn't sounding right for a second. In our skin. So, when we use a topical that has CBD in it, which of course our balm is a full spectrum. So I've got another question on that in a second. But when we use a balm, is it just, it gets to the receptors through the skin pretty easily? What's that process look like?
So in all of our skin, and I always like touch my arm whenever I'm doing this, like like I can demonstrate. So with the skin itself, it's just like if you were putting on a pain patch, or if you were putting on any sort of like FDA approved medicinal product. We've known in, pharmacy and chemistry for a long time that anything that you apply to the skin is very able to it's able to penetrate through that skin. And that's because our skin is made up of collagen and moisture and water and all types of different things. So there's different pores in your skin. There's places where your hair is, but there's also different tunnels, basically, for lack of a scientific word, that allow for anything that is applied to the skin to penetrate into it. If it penetrates deep enough to get into the blood system, which is why most of the pharmaceuticals are made the way that they are, whether it's a patch or a lotion or cream, then it's able to get into the bloodstream, and you're able to bypass the liver and the digestive system and things like that. So there's lots of different proteins and G-coupled receptors and all kinds of fancy terms, but basically there's tunnels to where anything that you apply onto the skin is able to penetrate deeper into the skin, as well as possibly even getting into the bloodstream. As far as the CBD, I've heard a lot of questions and had a lot of questions about if it's not nanoparticleized, if it's not, small enough, is it going to? And instead of looking at the size of the actual molecule, what we like to look for, because there's a lot of stuff like even B12, there's B12 patches that you can put on. And so a lot of that, it doesn't matter the size of it, but it's more of how it's formulated and what it's with. And so we can talk about the ingredients in the balm later on tonight, and how the products that are in there and the ingredients that are in there are allowing for the CBD and the other essential oils and things to be able to penetrate into the skin to have a good enough of a therapeutic effect, because of the fats and because of the actual chemistry, not so much because of the size.
Awesome. So, I asked you this question not too long ago, with it being a full spectrum oil and having the THC in it, and it being a high dose, it's 600 milligram, which is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance of testing positive on a drug test because of it, being so absorbable?
So no, and I also forgot to answer the other part of your question a while ago, which was how does the CBD actually get onto the skin and start to work? So we do have CB2 receptors in the skin, but CBD does not bind to those receptors directly. And so we're not exactly sure how it works, but we think that it has to do with the anandamide pathway. And so it doesn't hop onto the receptors in the skin themselves, just like whenever you take CBD orally, it doesn't hit those CB1 and CB2 receptors directly. And so it's a great question, but we're not 110% sure. We think there's actually research into a CB3 receptor, which might be the receptor that CBD directly binds to. But it still carries out the same therapeutic effects that it has whenever you take it orally as it does in the skin, because it's able to penetrate through that layer. As far as drug tests, if you are putting on something topically, you are bypassing the liver metabolizing. So if you take anything by mouth, whether it is pharmaceutical drugs, if it's illicit substances, food, drinks, water, anything, the liver is what is responsible for breaking down what you ingest into a usable form for your body. So it turns it from a grape into you. That's what the liver does. And so because you are putting it onto the skin and it's not being ingested, you're bypassing liver metabolism. Now, whenever we are looking for a drug test, because that's the question that everyone's going to ask, what we look for in a drug test is we are looking for a delta-9 glucuronidated product chemical version of THC. Yes, there's THC on the balm that's in your skin, but since it's not going to the liver, it is not going to be broken down by the liver, and that metabolite will not be in your urine. So long story short, no, you will not fail a drug test if you're putting on a full spectrum hemp-based CBD product.
Fantastic. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Right.
I've been using balm for a while, and it's incredible. And not that I have to worry about drug tests, but for those people who do, it's going to be an incredible topical solution for so many things. Now, somebody asked how much THC is in the full spectrum balm. And Jess, I'll let you go ahead and kind of hit that and hit it on a big scale of, in all CBD products that you see, if there's THC in it, it has to be below a certain level regardless.
Right. So a full spectrum means that it has got all the different cannabinoids. And we had talked a little bit previously on other webinars about how like the amount of cannabinoids that are in it can help the CBD, and they all help each other out. It's called the entourage effect. So with all products, they're all regulated through a lot, like in Kentucky, it's regulated through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the state Kentucky Department of Agriculture. But the federal legal limit for any containing products with THC in them is 0.3%. So what that means is that if you have a 1 ounce container, which is like 30 grams or 30 ounces of something, but if you have a 1 ounce container, it's 30 mLs, then 1% of that would be 3 mLs. And so you're going to cut that down again to a third of that. So in an entire shot glass, which is 1 ounce, you are going to have about 3 drops of actual THC content. And so hopefully that can help kind of give a visual to where there's not a lot of THC in it. It still meets that federal regulation of that 0.3%. And I think you guys use the full spectrum, like actual extract that is then, so even in those extracts, those 1 ounce bottles that they're getting, that also has MCT as well as like coconut oil and things like that. So there's the actual plant itself, it then gets extracted into a really thick oil, and then it has the actual like carrier oil, which is the MCT. So it would be like 3 drops of the regular oil, which would be like half of 1 drop of the actual concentrate. So there's a tiny amount of THC that's in it. It really is just there to help serve the purpose of not having to have other cannabinoids taken out to extract the THC, because you do lose some. But it does also help CBD and the other cannabinoids like CBC and CBG be more effective while they're there. So you won't fail a drug test, and there's a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of THC in the actual product.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the power of essential oils mixed into this product, because I think it adds some really incredible extra special results, I guess, that we get. I think it helps it become, you see results faster, I believe, because of the essential oils. And I think it's a great mix of the essential oils that we chose. I'll let you kind of dive in on that.
Awesome. So I'm gonna look down at my notes for some of this, because there's a few different essential oils, but I want to hit on what each one does and how it's good. So the main thing that I look at in a skincare product is what are the actual, like, we call it diluents, but what are the actual like balm components itself? Because you've got the CBD, and then you've also got the essential oils, but what's like the lotion base, right? So whenever I looked at this product, you guys use yellow beeswax and also grapeseed oil. So grapeseed oil is amazing because it contains vitamin E and omega-6. Vitamin E is an antioxidant, which means that it helps to prevent free radical damage. So that's like after a sunburn. And a lot of people use vitamin E to help with hair and skin and nails and things like that. So it's a great moisturizer, but it helps to prevent from different damage, just whether it's from chemicals and other chemicals that you're using, or if it's from being outside in the sun, things like that. Omega-6 is a fatty acid, which helps to your skin to function as a barrier, because that's what the main job of the skin is. It's our first line of defense. And so with the skin and with the omega-6, what it does is it's also anti-inflammatory. So it serves as a barrier, it's an antioxidant, and then it also seems to help with some inflammation. It can even sometimes decrease the appearance of scars. It can moisturize your skin. And so it's got some linoleic acid in there, which is great too. So the grapeseed oil was a fantastic addition, because instead of it just being like a lotions base with some parabens and with some crazy stuff, it actually is good for you too. The other thing that kind of gives it a thicker kind of balm consistency is the yellow beeswax. So beeswax is great because it also is protective, and it's got a really good like barrier function. It's a humectant, which means that it's going to pull moisture like out of the air and into your skin, and it drives it down. So it's great for moisturizing. It's got vitamin A in it, which is one of our fat soluble vitamins, to help with the skin's appearance. And it helps with that natural process of skin cells being moisturized and then also shedding off. And then the cool thing about beeswax also is that it's anti-allergenic. So a lot of people will use honey, royal bee pollen, that kind of stuff, for actual like allergies themselves. So what I liked about it is that for people that have really sensitive skin, it's got that yellow beeswax in there. So beeswax by itself has interleukin 6 and different types of these chemicals that are great at helping to regulate that immune process that's in our body so that we don't have a hyper-stimulated immune response to it, which is what causes those skin sensitivities. So just from the beeswax and the grapeseed oil, you're enhancing the barrier protection and the barrier function of the skin. You're using it as an antioxidant to help it to protect against damage. And then you're also giving it all of the really good healthy fats that can help to decrease inflammation and things like that. So I love those. The essential oils that you guys use in this are going to be grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, and then we've also got eucalyptus, rosemary, and clary sage. So I know enough about different essential oils ahead of time, like in my studies as a naturopath. Then when I saw this combination, it really helps with inflammation. Like overall big picture, what it does is it really helps with inflammation, and it can really help with the scent itself. Is just uplifting. I think whenever you sent me the sample of it, whenever Chance dropped it off, I passed it around to all of my staff and they were like, yes, this smells amazing. I love it. So it's a really good scent for guys as well as for girls. It's not too powerful, and it's got that really good smell to it. And that helps to activate the limbic system, which is how essential oils pretty much work in aromatherapy. So whenever you smell something, it activates that system of our brain that is able to change our brain's chemistry. And so with a grapefruit, it's one of those uplifting smells. It helps to just boost mood and to make you feel amazing. It's also anti-inflammatory, and grapefruit's one of my favorites because it helps with cellulite, which is interesting. So it can help to, and it does that by decreasing fluid retention. So a lot of people that I see that come in that want to get a CBD balm, they have nerve pain. They've got things like that are going on. And it's usually in the lower extremities and ankles and feet and things like that, that they tend to retain some water. And one of the things that I love about CBD balm is that it's really good at helping with inflammation, but it also, with a grapefruit oil in it, it's really good at helping to decrease that extra fluid retention. The other thing that it can do is it seems to help to stimulate our lymphatic system, which is where all of the junk basically in our bodies kind of goes to. So it really helps with that. It also has some really cool stuff like some vitamin C, and it's got some different terpenes like myrcene. The myrcene actually helps to allow for the CBD to be more effective and to have a longer lasting effect. So just that one essential oil with grapefruit is going to help with your skin's appearance. It's also going to help uplift your mood, decrease water retention, as well as helping with some pain, helping with some anti-inflammatory, and kind of stimulating some new blood and some new lymphatic stuff to get to that area. The other thing is lemon. So lemon is really good. It's been used for a long time as an antiviral, an antibiotic, or not antibiotic, but an antibacterial, antifungal. A lot of people use lemon and water just to clean off their kitchen counters, things like that. So what lemon's good at is it's great at helping to push out toxins in the skin. It's also good to decrease inflammation. A lot of people also use it for varicose veins because that's just like stagnant blood that has not been able to be moved. And with the combination of the lemon and the grapefruit, it's really good at getting new blood to that area. The other one is peppermint oil, which everyone probably knows exactly what peppermint oil smells like and what it's been used for. But peppermint seems to be really good for pain because it distracts our nervous system into feeling that cool sensation whenever you put it on, instead of focusing on the pain itself. So a lot of pharmaceutical products will have menthol, will have camphor, will have different derivatives of peppermint and spearmint and things like that. So it definitely helps with the actual pain and noticing it, besides the fact that it's also anti-inflammatory. A lot of people use peppermint because it's an astringent. They will use it for anti-aging. So they'll put that as part of their skincare regimen. And it also seems to be antimicrobial and antiseptic. And some people will use peppermint oil for a stomach ache and things like that. It's antispasmodic, which is, if you've ever had a stomach ache, that different feeling, that pain that you're feeling is because the muscle themselves of the stomach and that stomach lining is kind of spasming and contracting. So I have a lot of patients that really like to use peppermint for any sort of like muscle soreness and spasms and things like that. So that's one of the really cool things. The other one is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus, you usually use it for irritations. So the same way that you can use eucalyptus in a diffuser to be able to help with breathing and to help with, you know, your respiratory system, it's really good at irritations. So a lot of people use the eucalyptus for their skin, for eczema, psoriasis, acne, things like that. And I'm not saying that we should use this to treat that product or to treat that condition. But that is historically what people have used eucalyptus oil itself for. It also is an antioxidant, so it does help to protect the skin against environmental damage, very similar to the way that grapefruit and vitamin E and grapeseed oil also does too. So you're protecting a lot of the skin's barrier function with it. And some people have even used it because the eucalyptus has some antiviral properties. Some people have used it for shingles and for chicken pox and for things like that, skin conditions that are viral, that, and even cold sores that, you know, have that viral tied to them. It seems to help to decrease the amount of time that they have those sores on their skin, for eucalyptus. The other thing is it also is antifungal. And so with antifungal, a lot of time like athlete's foot, yeast infections, things like that are of a fungal origin. And so people have used eucalyptus oil in the past to be able to help that, to be able to heal that process up a little bit faster. So it's got some really cool antifungal and antiviral properties. And it also helps to defend against UV rays or that ultraviolet light from the sun that can cause photosensitivity and photoaging. The last one is rosemary oil. So rosemary oil, it actually has some really cool stuff, some actual minerals in it. So it's got some iron and calcium, and it's got a lot of different essential vitamins that your skin needs to be able to perform the way that it should. So if your skin is prone to be oily, then rosemary can help with excess oil production. But that doesn't mean that it's going to hurt people that have dry skin. So what it does is it seems to balance out your sebum production. And sebum is the oil that your skin naturally produces. So it helps to regulate that process so that you don't have the oily skin and you also don't have like the super dry skin. And with the beeswax and with the grapeseed oil, it's really good at pulling in that moisture as well. And so it's got some really other cool stuff, like how it's great at circulation. It also helps to pull out some extra water, similar to how the grapefruit does. And it penetrates deep into the skin. One of the associated bacteria with acne is killed with rosemary oil. So that's kind of cool. And so there was actually a Japanese dental school that was my favorite. It showed 5 minutes of just smelling rosemary and lavender in a combination for stress hormones, which is your cortisol. And it actually helped to prevent the body from those different chronic diseases due to oxidative stress, as well as decreasing that cortisol level. So just the smell of it, we know can help with our stress, can help with our mood, but it has a biochemical effect as well. So I think the coolest part about aromatherapy and essential oils and all their benefits is they feel good. They've got great functions for the actual skin itself, but just the smell of them can activate a part of your brain that is responsible for controlling other metabolic functions and the making of other hormones. So I loved all of the different oils that were in here. The last one was clary sage, which clary sage is, I've always used it with like and associated with females who were having menstrual cramps, because clary sage is one of those that's really good. It has a thing called sclereol, and sclereol is one of the components that's chemically in the clary sage plant, and it mimics estrogen of all things. So one of the cool things about it is that whenever I have women that come in that are having cramps, what I usually do is I have a essential oil roller that I give to them, and I'm promised from using it before, it actually makes your cramps go away within a couple minutes. But it's clary sage, ylang ylang, and then just some regular coconut oil. And so with clary sage, when I saw that, I was like, oh boy, this is exciting because there's another product that can be helpful and beneficial. And this actually has CBD with it to decrease the inflammation. So for people that are having a lot of cramps, a lot of problems, things like that, muscle spasms, clary sage is fantastic at it. It does not mimic estrogen in men. It is not going to cause them to, you know, have any sort of issues like that. You'll still be manly. You can still have your man card. But it also is really good for stress reduction. Clary sage smells, I think it smells terrible whenever it's just by itself. But with the other things like the rosemary, the eucalyptus, the peppermint, and the grapefruit, it smells really, really good in this product. Some people say it's an aphrodisiac. Y'all go ahead. I'm not on that one. I've tried to diffuse it before, try to set the mood right, and it did not work out. We were like, what is that smell? Let's change this. But it does help with depression. It's an aphrodisiac. It puts you in a great mood. And it also has some really cool stuff about helping to fight against staph. So we always have staph and strep on our skin at all times. It's just part of the microflora that is us. And so it's all fine and dandy until you get a scratch or a cut or some sort of a wound. And that's when the staph that's normally on your skin can creep in. So being able to use these products and to use this balm, I love the ability to have something that's all natural ingredients, that has really well thought out, good combination of essential oils, that also has a good full spectrum CBD in a really high strength. Like, y'all, 600 milligrams is insane. We have 50 milligrams and we've got 100 milligrams for balms that we've had since like 2017 from some different companies. And I've seen a ton of results with a 50 milligrams. I've seen even more results with 100. I cannot wait to have my hands on a product that has 600 milligrams in it, because the amount of CBD, what that's going to do is that allows for it to penetrate into the skin and to get into the blood system to where it's able to create more results faster than the other products that are out on the market. And so just for comparison sakes, and I don't know what the price points are yet of these products, but I know that our 100 milligram jar, that cost was, I think, around $85. And so I cannot wait to see what the price point's going to be and how much more CBD content and how much more concentrated this is going to be at 600. So just to let you know, whenever you're talking to people and to educating people, that 600 milligrams is a really, really big point, because that's the strongest product that I've seen on the market. I don't know of anything that's any stronger than that. So any questions about the oils? I had to go in a little speech there. But any questions about any of that kind of stuff, what its function is, any of that?
No, I think you covered it phenomenally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so price point, of course, we haven't released prices yet. We expect to do that by the end of the week. And I love hearing you tell everyone the price point you just did. Let's just say
cool.
You set us up for success on that one.
Yay.
You guys are going to love it. One of the things that we wanted to do is bring you guys affordable products, not just for yourself to buy, but when you are out there promoting the products as well, you know, it's something that people can look at and go, oh, this is competitive, or maybe even cheaper than what's on the shelf at my local store. So it's super excited about that. We've talked a ton about benefits, but I want to kind of narrow in. We've talked about the individual ingredients and some of their benefits. Let's talk about LivCana CBD Balm as a whole. And of course, guys, we can't make any claims. We've not done any studies with this, and with this product as a whole. And so we're going to give you some of our experiences, and we're going to give you some, some real, I'm trying to figure out the right words to use.
Testimonies. We got testimonies for days.
Testimonies for days, yes.
Yes.
But just some real content from Jess, from Dr. Mills, of what she expects to see out of the products because of the ingredients as a whole. And of course, we can't make any claims. It's not FDA approved. You're not going to hear us mention any ailments or any diseases or anything that you're going to say, hey, well, this work for eczema. We're not going to answer you on that. I don't know. Try it. See what happens. That's what we're going to tell you. But as a whole, we're going to kind of give some benefits that we've seen and what we expect to see. So I know for myself using it, I absolutely love it. Nighttime, going to bed and putting it on my shoulders. It has become my nightly routine. It's probably one of the most relaxing smells. Within 10, 15 minutes of me putting it on, I feel more relaxed, which makes it a lot easier for me to just lay down and let my worries go away. And so I've loved it most for that. I think that's probably the biggest area I need it in, which is why I love it so much. What have you seen so far, Jess?
So to really say like why we can't say any of the stuff about eczema. So the main reason there hasn't been studies on this product is because to do a study on any product, it's about $20 million to be able to get that FDA approval. And so legality wise, we can't say, oh, this can help with eczema unless we had a random drug study that says, hey, here's 16,000 patients that we've recruited and they're all going to use this and at this frequency and at this dosage. So that's the approval process, and that's why we have to work within the bounds that we are. So I don't ever want to have people think that, oh, we don't have faith in this, so that's why we can't say it. it's just the system and the FDA approval as to why we can't. And I think that if you guys have questions about legalities, that's one of the things that we've been working on and that I've been studying on is the different things that we're allowed to say versus what we're not allowed to say. So whenever you're approaching someone, you don't want for, to say this is a miracle cream and it's going to cure your daughter's eczema, because you can't legally say that. There's a lot of companies with a lot of money invested that get kind of mad if you do. And so it's not because we don't have confidence in the product. What you can do is you can give them personal testimony and the testimony of other people as to what benefits they have seen. So I will tell you that my daughter, Lily, is turning 2 in November, and she was born with, we noticed at about 6 weeks old, that she has what we would call eczema. And that's what her doctor called it as well. And it's because of food allergies and different things, and we're working through it. But we've got her on some other stuff too. But lately in the summertime, it seems like her skin condition always pops up and kind of flares up some. So I got that product sample just a couple days ago, probably 3 or 4 days. I think it was earlier this past week. And so I decided, I was like, well, I mean, I know what's in it, and I know that she's fine with it. So we decided to put it on her ankles where there's a lot of dried skin that's cracking. And the main point of skin conditions, the main issue, because we can also talk physiology and body all day long. So the main issue that causes skin conditions is that turnover system where your skin cells die and then they fall off naturally on their own. Sometimes that gets a little too fast. And so unfortunately, the skin cells are dying off too quickly. They're not able to be shed at the right speed. And then that's what causes, the rashes and the irritation and the flakes and the itching and stuff like that. So for Lily, she's got some patches on her hand. She's got some on her ankles. So we just tried to go ahead and put some on her feet. And I'll tell you, within like 3 days, her feet and everything are perfect. So for me, I've seen to where if you have a problem with skin irritation, it has really seemed to help her. She used to just sit in her little crib, poor girl, and she would just sit up scratching all night long, just scratching on her ankles, and she'd wake up, and it was worse at certain times and in the winter when the heat's on and stuff like that. But it really seemed to help her to go to sleep easier. So it's funny that you were saying that you could just rub it on within 15 minutes, you'd fall asleep, because so do little girls too. And so we were able to put it on. She was able to just fall asleep, not be itching, not be up all night. And as soon as she stopped itching and scratching, then that's when her skin was really allowed to heal. So I think the main thing is that it's going to give that temporary relief, and it's a long-lasting product, but it gives you the relief to where you're not, trying to irritate it even more. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the main things that I've seen. I've used it for my knee because I have terrible posture and I sit on my feet all the time. And so I've used it on my right knee, and it's the inflammation from that has really, really improved a lot. And then I know that Danny was picking one of the girls up because I have a 40-pound, 3 almost year old. And so anyway, he was flying her with a little towel and decided to do it a certain way and have her fly this direction. And he twisted his back and kind of tweaked it a little bit. So I know that he put some on his back, and then the next morning he woke up and he was fine. So it really does help with the inflammation from my experience, as well as those skin conditions. So thanks for hitting me up with a sample, because I was able to see how it works on my littles, and I was able to kind of to be your product tester with pediatric populations and silly men who do things that they shouldn't do. But so it's really worked great for me, and it's helped. And then all of them really like the smell of it. There was some of those products like Bengay and things with menthol, they have such a strong smell that I've always been hesitant to put it on whenever I'm going to be around other people. So it's got a really light scent, but it's a really good scent too. So I've seen some great results from it. I know the ingredients that are in it, and it's really, really been helpful for us.
That's awesome to hear. I love it. Hopefully you guys have found this super valuable. And Jess, before we close down, is there anything else you want to add?
We talked about how you won't fail a drug test. We talked about how it can get through the skin. It's got some good ingredients to do that. We talked about the different oils that are in there, the benefits. I think we're good. I think it's amazing as far as usage of the product and how to use it. You can pretty much put it on anytime that you feel like you've got some inflammation or discomfort in a certain joint or in a certain area. That's when I usually put it on. I've had some people, it took 3 applications for it to really start to work. But that again is at a 35, 50, or 100 milligram dosage point, and that's not at a 600 milligram. So the product that you guys have is so much more concentrated than that, that I anticipate for people to be able to apply it and to start feeling some benefit from it within about 5 to 10 minutes. That seems to be, you said it takes about 15 minutes and you're just conked out and asleep. And so most of the time people, I like to keep it in my purse. That's where it currently is. That way, in case I wake up and my neck is kind of crooked or something's going on. But most people, first application, within 5 to 10 minutes, they'll start to feel it. You can't overdose on it. It doesn't leave your skin really greasy and gross afterwards. So I would keep it with you all the time. And then that way, for just life's minor aches and pains, you can apply it at that point and expect to see results within about 5 to 10 minutes.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, I love to hear the testimonies already coming in. Again, these products are going to be launching. We're looking at mid-October. If you're already affiliated with us, if you have your IBO number, then you got the email this morning that we're looking around mid-October for the products to launch. I'm continuing to push for that to be earlier and earlier. I know we're all ready to get those in our hand. So we're excited to see that happen. And if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Be sure that you join us in our Facebook group, the Inside Look or An Inside Look. If you haven't got in there yet, the person who invited you to this, be sure that they invite you into that Facebook group, because there's a lot of great information in there, and you'll be able to see our previous product education series. So Dr. Jessica Mills, I appreciate you. Thank you for jumping on. And this concludes all 4 of our product education. So yay, that's awesome. And I guess we'll leave it at that. And you guys have an incredible night, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.